After countless storms, tears, and moments when it seemed they had lost each other forever, James and Diep finally walked down the aisle in a deeply emotional wedding. It wasn't just a ceremonial union. They were marrying with everything they had endured, with forgiveness, faith, and a love that once seemed to have died, but had now returned, stronger than ever. Their wedding day was not a lavish celebration, but a sacred moment, wrapped in the tearful eyes of those who had witnessed their tumultuous love journey. Every step Diep took toward James was a step away from pain and sorrow, opening a new radiant chapter in their lives. Not long after the wedding, their little family became whole with the birth of a healthy, adorable baby boy, a child born of pure, resilient love. Watching his son sleep soundly in his mother's arms, James often felt as though the whole world had shrunk to fit inside their simple yet steadfast home. From a once cold and busy CEO, he had transformed into a man who knew what it meant to be tender when his wife smiled, who felt happiness in just hearing the baby's babbled, "Dad." Every evening after work, James would put aside meetings and pressure to rush home, where Diep waited with a warm meal and their son waited to be embraced. To him, that was the most peaceful moment of the day. Stock prices and million-dollar deals no longer mattered, because the most precious thing he had was Diep and their son. As for Diep, after overcoming the anxieties of first-time motherhood, she not only became a devoted mom, but also began to learn about business. Not out of personal ambition, but because she wanted to be James's true partner, not just in family life, but also in his career. She took notes, studied the market, learned how to listen during meetings. All for one simple dream: to stand beside her husband, not just in love, but in shared purpose and responsibility. Their little family didn't need much, just a warm meal, their child's laughter, and a gentle hand to hold each night, enough to carry them through any challenge ahead. Their happiness didn't lie in extravagance, but in simplicity and sincerity, just like the love that had been tested and forged through time. Happiness was supposed to be the peaceful harbor after all the storms and trials, but it is often in the moments we lower our guard that misfortune quietly knocks on the door. Trang, a name that seemed distant and unrelated, was in fact an echo from James's past, long before he met Diep. She had once been a talented and promising assistant, one of the few people James had ever openly praised for her competence. Yet, for James, the relationship had always been strictly professional. To him, Trang was a colleague, nothing more. But to Trang, James was an ideal, successful, enigmatic, and impossibly alluring. The more unattainable he was, the more obsessed she became. When she found out he had gotten married, her heart shattered, then burned with jealousy. She watched from afar, biting her lip as James kissed Diep's forehead on national television while accepting his Entrepreneur of the Year award. A woman like her, what's so special about her? Trang muttered bitterly, eyes clouded with envy. Then Trang returned, not to pick up where she left off professionally, but with a clear and dangerous goal to break apart James and Diep, and destroy the family she believed never deserved the man of her dreams. She approached James's company under the guise of representing a foreign investor. With meticulously polished beauty, a carefully constructed charm, and masterful communication skills, Trang gradually won over the staff and began to infiltrate James's comfort zone. At first, James didn't pay much attention. To him, Diep was everything. But with mounting work pressure and massive projects piling up, he often stayed late at the office. And Trang knew just when to appear, offering a warm cup of coffee during headaches, sending gentle messages after stressful meetings. These small, persistent, and calculated gestures slowly chipped away at the distance James once kept. Meanwhile, Diep, once a trusting wife, started to worry. Lipstick stains on his collar, a strange scent of perfume lingering in his car seat. Even though James denied everything and still held her tightly each night, his gaze no longer shone with the same clarity. His kisses became hurried, unfamiliar. One late night, while James was asleep, Diep did something she had never done in all their years together. She unlocked his phone. And there, the messages appeared, short but loaded with implication. Trang, I've booked the restaurant for tomorrow night. Just the two of us. Trang, I miss you. Do you miss me? However, James, the man who had weathered countless storms with Diep, remained unmoved by Trang's flirtatious glances and sweet words. He never gave her a single chance to cross the boundary of professionalism. During a private meeting when Trang subtly confessed her feelings, James stood up coldly, stared straight into her eyes, and spoke each word with crystal clarity. I love my wife, and I will never betray her, not even in thought. Trang was stunned. His unwavering resolve hit her like a slap in the face, shattering what little pride she had left. But she didn't stop. For someone who had turned love into obsession, rejection only became fuel for revenge. And Trang chose the lowest path, to break Diep from the inside out. One morning, Diep received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a blurry, carefully photoshopped photo, one that seemed to show James and Trang lying together in a hotel room. Alongside it was a handwritten note. Don't be naive anymore. That night, it wasn't just drinks. Diep's world collapsed. She didn't confront James, not because she was afraid, but because a voice deep inside whispered, if he really betrayed me, could I bear the truth? At that time, Diep had just given birth less than 2 months ago. Her body was still fragile, her mind still unsteady. Sleepless nights soothing their baby alone while James worked late. Anonymous messages. Whispered gossip from well-meaning acquaintances, claiming they saw James and Trang together. All of it stormed down on her like a silent hurricane. That night, James came home to an empty bedroom. No sound of their baby crying. No shadow of the woman who always waited up for him. Only a short letter left on the table. I'm no longer strong enough to believe in anything. Our child needs you. As for me, I need silence. Diep. James was frozen in place. She had left. Taking only a few belongings, Diep returned to the modest old house where she once lived before entering his world. Small, damp, and humble, but the only place untouched by lies, edited photos, and warped dreams. Each day, she woke up early, staring at the cracked ceiling, wondering, am I the one who's wrong? Or did love simply choose the wrong man? She missed her child with a painful ache, but couldn't gather the courage to go back. She missed James down to every breath, every handhold, but her wounded pride wouldn't let her cross the bridge of doubt left unanswered. And it was at that very moment Trang played her final card. She posted a cryptic status on her personal social media. No matter who they go home to, you can't erase a night that happened. #old but true. The post spread like wildfire. Gossip swirled and Diep was devastated, but James was furious. He decided to stay silent no longer. It was time to protect the woman he swore to love and honor, just like he promised on their wedding day. As James read the final line of Diep's letter, it was as if every ounce of strength drained from his body. The house turned cold, empty, and terrifyingly silent. The muffled cries of their child in the next room only added to the weight crushing his chest. But James refused to collapse. More than anyone, he understood. If he didn't fight for Diep now, if he didn't uncover the truth, they would lose each other forever. Without a second thought for work, he entrusted their child to his mother's care and rushed into the night, with only one conviction in his heart, that Diep would return to the one place she always sought refuge when in pain, her old house. And just as he had sensed, he found her. Under the dim streetlight, James saw the silhouette of a woman curled up on the worn-down steps. Her hair was a tangled mess, her shoulders trembling with every choked sob. It was Diep, the woman he loved more than anything, crying like an abandoned child, as if the entire world had turned its back on her. Diep. James's voice cracked as he hurried toward her. She looked up, eyes swollen and weary, still clouded with hurt. When he reached out and touched her shoulder, she didn't pull away, but she didn't lean in either. I trusted you. Trusted you so deeply I didn't even need proof. But now. Her voice was hoarse from crying. A woman can't survive when all she sees in her mind is her husband in bed with someone else. James sat beside her, gripping her icy hands tightly. Listen to me, Diep. It was all fabricated by Trang. The photo was fake. The messages were lies. I never betrayed you. I swear, I never realized you were suffering through it all alone. Then what about all those things? The late nights, the unfamiliar looks in your eyes, the perfume on your clothes. Diep asked, her gaze piercing, desperate to find one last shred of truth. James let out a heavy sigh, guilt flickering in his eyes. I was wrong. For being blind, for letting Trang slowly tear our family apart. But my heart, my feelings never went straight from you. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a USB drive. Inside was an audio recording proof of a secret conversation between Trang and an acquaintance. In it, Trang openly confessed to fabricating everything. The fake photos, the anonymous letters, the setup, all part of her twisted plan to pull James away from that lowly girl. James had hired a private investigator, not to clear his own name but to salvage the one thing that truly mattered, Diep's trust. Because just a few hours without her had already left him feeling like a barren wasteland. When the recording ended, Diep broke down, not from pain, but from sheer exhaustion. Days of doubt, torment, and fear had taken their toll. James said nothing more. He simply held her close, tightly, as if letting go even once would cause her to vanish forever. Come home with me, please. Come back to our son. To our family. Diep didn't speak. She only nodded faintly, head buried in his chest. Too tired to form words, but clear-headed enough to know. Her heart still belonged to James, and only he could soothe the deepest wounds she carried. Their little family, after nearly being torn apart by lies and betrayal, was brought back together, this time through truth and a trust painstakingly rebuilt from the ruins. After days of torment and feeling lost, Diep's life slowly returned to its familiar rhythm of peace. But one thing had changed unexpectedly and profoundly. Her mother-in-law. The woman who once held harsh prejudices, who remained silent whenever Diep was misunderstood, had completely transformed. Upon learning the truth of what had happened, she didn't blame her son instead. She quietly entered the room, cradled her grandchild in her arms, and whispered, I failed to see what a truly kind daughter-in-law I had. She announced an early retirement, handing over her factory responsibilities to others, and moved in with James and Diep not to oversee, but to nurture their family's warmth. She wanted Diep to return to work with peace of mind, no longer having to sacrifice her dreams for motherhood. Go out there and work alongside James, she said. Support him, protect this family. Someone like Trang, she won't give up easily. Leave the baby to me. For the first time, Diep felt protected not just by James, but by the once cold woman who was now her pillar. That newfound bond of family became a shield, fortifying their fragile home. James and Diep returned to the business world not as separate individuals, but as a united front. Diep gradually proved her abilities, no longer just the CEO's wife, but a capable, decisive, and insightful partner. James couldn't hide his pride whenever he saw her leading project meetings or confidently negotiating with international partners. Everything seemed to fall back into place. The family was whole. Their son grew up surrounded by love. James and Diep, hand in hand, were stronger than ever. But some shadows don't fade easily. Somewhere else in the city, Trang was still watching. Her social media accounts had been shut down after the scandal. Her reputation destroyed. Contracts terminated. She had lost everything, and she blamed Diep for it all. The once beautiful face was now lined with bitterness and obsession. Standing silently before an old photo of her and James at a past conference, her grip tightened until her knuckles turned white. You think this is over, Diep? You think this is over, Diep? No. When I've lost everything, I'll make sure you lose it all too. She began to move in the shadows, gathering intel, hiring people to follow James and Diep, and eventually crafting a new identity. Under the alias Lan, she re-emerged as a soft-spoken secretary at one of James's subsidiary companies. No one recognized her. Her look had changed. Her demeanor was demure. Her eyes gentle. But behind the mask was the same woman, now more dangerous than ever. Trang no longer sought to destroy them with emotions. Her new weapons were financial ruin, shattered reputations, and heartbreak at its cruelest depth. She wouldn't strike directly, she would plant seeds of suspicion, sow misunderstandings, orchestrate moments of doubt that would slowly creep into Diep's heart again. A new war had begun, not one of bullets or fists, but of manipulation, silence, and psychological warfare. And this time, it will be darker than anything they had faced before.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Thì lâu lắm rồi mọi người mới xem video mới ở kênh mình. Tại vì mấy bữa nay là mình hơi bận nên là mình không có ra video mới á mọi người. Và mọi người ơi, bữa nay cái kênh của mình, cái kênh này thì hiện tại nó đang bị flop rất là nặng luôn. Nên mọi người hãy tương tác với kênh nhiều hơn mọi người nhé. Mọi người hãy like, share cũng như để lại bình luận ở dưới video nếu như mà có ý kiến đóng góp gì cho mình. Việc mọi người like, share cũng như là đăng ký kênh các thứ nó sẽ tương tác với kênh và giúp cho kênh mình có thể hồi phục hơn, và từ đó sẽ tạo ra động lực để mình có thể ra video nhanh và nhiều hơn để mọi người cùng theo dõi câu chuyện nhé. Và hôm nay thì video này là video nói về câu chuyện tình yêu của James và LyTuDiep. Mọi người ơi, thì kênh của mình sẽ lên 2 nội dung, đó là James và LyTuDiep và cả lythica và cảnh sát Hùng nữa mọi người nhé. Mọi người hãy ủng hộ kênh mình nhiều hơn để nó có thể trở lại thật là tốt đẹp và lên video đều hơn nha.